Have we put on messages to Facebook and stuff saying going live?
I
do.
No.
Well, that's what we need to start doing.
I did it an hour ago. That'll have to do.
Oh, perfect. They've been waiting. They're getting excited. Have we put on messages to Facebook and stuff saying going live?
Uh,
do.
No. Zero. That's what. There we go. I knew it wouldn't work first time. Amazing. Plan B. If you couldn't hear me before, that was entirely deliberate. That was a bit. That wasn't me having somehow turned my mic down to 0 on the audio mixer. 0. That's what. There we go. I knew it wouldn't work
we
first
could hear
time.
if we could, no one else could.
Welcome,
perfect.
wiggliest traitors, to Crudely Drawn Swords Trilogy.
Thanks,
a
man.
entirely new season in which we are going to be playing an entirely new game, which is coming out very shortly. And by very shortly, I mean literally at the end of this stream. So I wrote it, and I hope that it's good, because if it's bad, it's too late to do anything about it now.
There's a lot of
that's
gin
not
in that.
true. There is another editing round if it's bad.
I'm never
It's
going
just
to
gonna be
edit
really
anything in my
brutal.
life again. I'm never editing anything in my life.
I'm so close.
With us tonight, we have Stu, who you will remember
I'm first.
once played
Ow!
Tristan Wilde.
They call me Finger Guns. Yeah, they now
do-
call me Finger Guns.
They do call him Stuart Finger Guns. That's what they call him. And also, you may sometimes notice from his direction a mysterious hooded stranger. No one knows what that guy's deal is.
Save that. Save that. He is dodgy.
We have Gwyn with a wobbly line over his head. Sometimes
I have a wobbly line over my head. Well, that's true.
Sometimes that
Hello,
line is going to
I'm
be through
Gwyn.
his head. It's going to be
Intense.
amazing. And finally, playing the role of Ali, we have Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hello.
Ali, unfortunately, was going to be with us this evening, but her back has fallen off completely, as she's just a front now. So get well soon, Ali. And in the meantime, we're going to harvest Lucy's brain for ideas.
Dangerous.
It's dangerous ground. And so, to tell you a little bit about Trilogy, it is...
Here's Ben Robbins. Come on, let's get it going.
Ben Robbins.
Ben Robbins. Here is Ben Robbins introducing Trilogy. Go, Ben.
I'm not going to
Don't
do
even
Ben.
have
Ben
an introduction
Robbins
from the creator.
doesn't know I exist.
Oh.
And So that is Trilogy. It only exists digitally. The writing is backwards on my screen. Who knows how it looks for you? And Trilogy is a game a little like Dungeon World, which we played on the podcast campaign, but it diverges in that it leads a little closer to the traditions of Powered by the Apocalypse games, and it incorporates, as part of the game process, building the world that you're going to play in. And so tonight, we're going to start by going through the appendices. In most epic fantasy, the appendix happens after the book. We're going to be putting the appendix at the start.
Wow.
Ironically, Ali...
That's the kind of innovation that you get from a Moxon rather than a Robinson.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Ali, unfortunately,
That guy's
apparently
banned from the
does
podcast.
potentially have appendix problems, so this is really not the day for her. So, yeah, in your classic epic fantasy, the appendix contains a whole lot of world-building nonsense that you don't need to have read to follow the story. And that's what we're going for tonight. A whole lot of world-building that we're going to create the world that we play in. And then next time we're going to figure out the characters, and then we're going to start playing. That's roughly the deal. And so the first part of this is to look at our tone. But I'm going to go through the things to bear in mind list, because whoever wrote this knew what he was talking about. So, when we're building the world, we're filling in the big picture, so we don't want to worry about details. We want to leave plenty of space for people to fill in as we play. Whoever comes up with an idea, once we create the world, it kind of gets handed over to the GM. And we'll keep building out as we go, but as GM, I may end up changing things around a bit. I can't take ownership of things because I end up playing the world underneath the characters. World building will be an ongoing process. This isn't the be all and end all. That goes with leaving spaces, because as we go on, we're going to learn more about places we visit and characters we meet, and have these moments of discovery, which are part of what make this kind of play so much fun. And finally, don't worry too much about being original. We've got 4 of us putting this world together. Whatever we come up with is going to be a wild mishmash of ideas. We can stick with some things that we like or that we found in other places, and it will end up, the outcome will be pretty cool, because it's not any, even if parts are a bit derivative, they'll mix together in new configurations. So those are kind of like the principles. And the first thing we're going to look at is the tone, the palette, and the tagline. So let's start by thinking of a kind of tone that we want to go for in this story. We'll go around everyone. Suggestions I have on my list for potential tones include sweeping, homely, gritty, mysterious, hopeful, whimsical, shadowy, wild, romantic, philosophical, brutal, revolutionary, wistful, adventurous, magical, and spooky. So those kind of things, just a vibe that we want to bring to the story. And everyone come up with the vibe that you like, and we'll see what happens when we combine them. So I'm going to look around the clock as I see it and go, Lucy, what tone do you like?
How many can I pick?
We're really going for one right now, a kind of core vibe.
Well, I'm torn between romantic and spooky. Because these are my favourite things. But none of you will want to play a game of.
No,
we can play a romantic tone.
I was going to say romantic, but also I've got to shy away from that. This new game, new person, new persona.
Yeah, we can't.
Romance is too easy.
I don't know how romantic Tristan was. I mean,
No.
he was in that ballpark, but I don't know if that's where he really landed.
More sex pest.
Hey, you didn't see the behind the scenes where he wooed these people.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, those were the private
Okay,
sessions, just
so-
you and Ben. I want to
Those
pick
were the days.
spooky, please.
Okay, spooky. And Gwyn, what do you like the sound of?
Oh, so these all get mashed into one big...
These get turned into, like, everyone comes in with
One
a tone,
big soup.
and then we come into a we can come up with the tagline like a X tale of Y and Z.
So it should be something that we're capable of using to complement spooky.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Shouldn't we? Let's see.
Whimsical.
Let's go with overly bureaucratic. Yeah, I want spooky bureaucracy. Please.
Okay, bureaucratic. Stuart, what's going to go with this spooky bureaucracy?
Spooky bureaucracy.
Something that's going to allow us to rip off Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I noticed that Ben was heavily trying to say, look, we have ripped off Lord of the Rings before, and we might do it again. But we'll make it our own. Don't worry, guys. I kind of want to go with, in amongst this spooky bureaucracy, there is positivity among, like, the people are actually thriving.
So like hopeful. Or like uplifting.
But they're hopeful because, uplifting. That's it. So the people are singing spooky songs, but they're happy. They're getting their work done. They're loving it.
They are all insured out of their asses.
Okay, so...
And they're not even, like, coerced into this. They just are. They're just good. Times are good. It's spooky and there's a lot of paperwork, but times are good. The good times are rolling when allowed.
So our tagline here currently is an uplifting tale of spooky bureaucracy.
Yeah, nice. I don't know how well that's going to pan out for the whole... Maybe an episode, maybe 2 episodes, and then we shift. Maybe. Who knows? There's no bad ideas.
I just feel like it's going to end up whimsical, whatever.
This is it.
Setup we have.
And this is one of the things that I want to lean in slightly more on how we tell the story. Is when we're doing the world building, I'm going to suggest we keep it a little more serious than we usually would. The reason being, it's much easier, particularly for me as a GM, to be funny in a world that takes itself more seriously. If like the characters are whack-ass and the world is whack-ass, it kind of gets a bit like running around a bouncy castle. Like it's funny, but it's hard to know where the boundaries are. It's hard to do transgressive. It's hard to do transgressive things when the world itself is built full of transgression.
You don't get 2 funny men. It's a funny guy and a straight guy.
Yeah, exactly. And Stuart will never be a straight guy.
Damn right.
Look, so the next element we have is that we have a palette. So this is about things that we want to, and this is something that I more or less yoinked from Ben Robbins because he knows what he's talking about. So the palette gives you things we definitely want to see in the game and things we definitely want to not see in the game. So if there are things that we just...
Spooky. Don't want to see spooky in the game.
That's in the tone. That's already there.
No ghosts.
No ghosts. It's
I'm using my...
No ghosts, no vampires, nothing spooky at all.
No supernatural of any type. But maybe that's it. Maybe it is all spooky, but because there's no supernatural creatures, it's never been spooky. This is just their houses. Like, they're covered in cobwebs and there's like rotting things on the wall, but they're like, that's just stuff we've got, What's this spooky coming from? It's just nature is normal.
So, for example, I'm going to add a no to slavery as a conventional thing in any of our cultures. I'm not the right person to tell a story about that, and I'm not going to. If any of my ancestors have a history on slavery, it wouldn't be on the right side. I'll put it that way. You know, I'm English, I'm middle class. So yeah, I'm not the right person to be talking about that. So that's in the no column. Any things we definitely do want to see or definitely don't? We'll take a suggestion each. I'll go around again. Lucy, anything?
Oh, me again.
Yeah,
oh, no.
you're going to keep
a no or a yes.
This is either.
Or both.
I would. Can I say I would like to see lasers?
Lasers. You can say that. Do you mean lasers literally? Do you mean like beams of energy beams of some kind?
Yeah.
More futuristic.
Okay, that's there.
Or maybe if you want maybe more technology. I'm thinking of Ali here.
Okay, yeah.
So Ali has made a suggestion.
Ali has suggested
veto
pangolins. She hasn't said whether that's a yes or a no, so
flip a coin, heads or tails.
Okay, Gwyn, anything you want to see in or out?
Always tails.
So if I say something that is going to be in, does that mean that it has to be in and everyone has to do it? Can I basically require everyone to have a bad accent?
Yeah.
What we can have...
No real life accents.
No real life accents.
That's what I'm banning.
Alright, that's more about performance than the game itself.
Okay.
But...
let's go for... Oh, I don't know. I would like there to be some form of media central to the story. Probably a game show.
Okay. That immediately starts to imply a lot of world building, which is fun. Okay, so Stu, I so nearly called you Tristan. So nearly.
But that's interesting because I do still want magic in the world.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
That puts a really interesting mix if you've got media and actual magic.
Yeah, what does that mean? This is fun already. So is that I magic actually will come up a whole bunch as we go on. So is there anything else that you want to see in or out?
Hokey cokey.
I mean,
what was the thing that Lucy banned? What did you ban, Lucy?
No, I just said there had to be lasers.
She said no lasers.
She said so. And what we've boiled that down to is technology, and I think that might mean that there's like either cool magitech or ancient technological objects or artifacts around the world that aren't necessarily well understood. Both of those
modern day technology that is slowly replacing magic. Because it's just starting to do all the stuff that magic did, and now the old mages are like, well, I don't know, great. They don't have a lot to say on the subject, so you'd think they would.
I definitely would, but that kind of progression is definitely an interesting thing to have in your world.
Or magic is starting to overtake technology and what it can do. And people are now panicking, so they're like, that's even more interesting.
Quite cool, yeah.
At the start, there was magic, then technology overtook it, and now magic's overtaking it again.
Magic starting like maybe
there was an age
new
of
magics
reason,
have been found,
and and the age of reason is basically done.
Yeah. Oh, people are discovering new magics. Like it's the age of magic. People are suddenly going, hold on, I can actually convert this into this thing, and now I can summon fire. And people are like, no one's ever done that before.
Well, I think like
technology's got their light.
A near future setting where like the big global megacorps that currently get to throw their power around are being toppled by people that can just do magic.
I think that's pretty rad.
It's kind of cool, actually.
And the bureaucracy is trying to shut down the they're starting to ask magic users to register, and you're like, hell no, I'm a wild magic user, and we've gone underground. Magic's gone underground. Yes. Oh, this is
okay.
This to be a magic user.
People that shun
I said I was going to do it. Basically,
Yeah.
build a cool setting for your characters to play in. Wait, what did Gwyn say? No real life names. What did Did on the streets?
We haven't got
Didn't
lot real life
race it.
names yet.
Yeah, that's completely true. Okay, so I'm going to go around again. Anything else?
Yeah,
you
I'm
want
Brad
to...
Muscles.
Anything else you want? Brad
I'm
Muscles,
the
magician. Like
I
what
mean,
he's
would
quite a
Brad
scrawny,
Muscles be?
a scrawny magician. Yeah. No,
So
I've
let's go around
decided.
again.
I've already decided that.
Anything else for a definite yes or no? And we'll just circle round till we run out of things for either column. So Lucy, any other yes or no's?
What about if it's a society that just the way people live is different, day and night rhythms, so that there is no such thing as breakfast?
You're proposing a world without
just
breakfast.
saying.
In fairness, we can't lean too heavily on the breakfast card this game.
Yeah.
That was you may not. Thing is, it was subtle, but it actually came up more than you might realize. Listen back, and you'll notice that actually now I've said it, you're going to go. They've said breakfast again.
I
was
heard
the
at
secret
least
at the heart of
breakfast.
Crudely Drawn Swords.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, okay.
That and dick jokes.
Gwyn, anything else from you
Oh,
for the
Rita.
list?
There must be dick jokes. Just in case Lucy tries to ban them while she's here. There must be dick jokes. Yes. Oh,
I don't
and
think
what was that? Vulva jokes.
Could effectively
I can
avoid
make 'em.
those.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
If there's
Gwen,
anything that I
continue.
want to ban, I just kind of want to hold a ban. I want a ban card in my pocket.
Well, you want a ban card
Yes,
for when
let's-
it comes up later?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I'll back that
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, that's how we'll play it. I mean, I can't think there's any all the usual no's are off the table.
Yeah.
We're not that kind of podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think people are
So-
sad about there not being breakfast.
Well, this is the decisions you make,
my
Lucy.
God.
Sometimes you make decisions and they hurt people, and that's just the
Yeah.
way the world is.
And that's just a
Nothing's to be
benefit
done.
to doing this. I mean, yeah. No.
So, we're going to move on to a bit about the world.
Oh, we just turn that down.
And so,
There's loads of people talking in chat.
yes,
Hey,
there
chat.
are.
Yeah.
That's busy.
So, Trilogy is
Good,
designed
Kristen's
around
there.
a world where magic exists and gods interfere in the world of mortals, but magic is a nebulous and ephemeral thing. Who wrote this? It's hard to pin down. So, we need to ask ourselves some questions about the world.
Yeah.
And the first question is, was the world created or did it form naturally? Does it float in space or does it have some other nature?
Question. How would we know?
Well, what do we believe? Like what beliefs are
I
common
don't
about
know.
the creation of the world?
If
I think
there's tech,
I think we have two competing beliefs,
Yep.
don't we? That's kind of
Yeah.
what we're coming around to.
Yeah.
Because
and that's perhaps what
there is-
fuels the resurgence of magic.
Yeah.
Like people that are a little bit more
Yeah, there is actual magic in the
spiritual,
world, yeah.
perhaps, are able to tap into the magic side of it. But the conventional thinking
Ooh.
up until now has been that no, there's some sort of reasoned logic behind how it was all created.
Yeah. Okay. That's
There's,
cool.
in fact, just to go more minute than we're intending, but that's because that's what we do. We go off script. I was thinking that there's been a kind of a sense in magic users building between people that the earth is made by magic. So it's kind of like, it's not like a whispered rumor. It's like each magic user is suddenly starting thinking, wait, I've got this crazy idea. or something like that.
Yeah,
it was less cool when I
okay.
said it out. I'm not gonna lie, it was less cool when I said it. But I kind of liked it.
No,
When I
Yeah,
thought
like
it was cool.
engaging with magic is a lot like Stu engaging with YouTube conspiracy theories.
Yes, and then you
The
just
more you
know.
consume of it,
You just know.
you know
Yeah.
it in your heart, and that's
You
all
just
that matters.
know it. Yeah.
And somehow
Except
it
this
becomes
time,
real.
this time it
You
might
start
not just
existing in
be
that reality.
crazy nonsense.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so,
Mandela effect.
Oh.
but perhaps
I want to ban the Mandela effect from the game.
a magical effect, though a magical equivalent might be the Mandala effect, where so
okay, that's fair. That's banned. It's out. It's out.
and yeah, what do we think? So I'm thinking this world probably is a planet like our own. And is reasonably well understood by the technological like society that has
No feet on
been
stream.
building cool stuff with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that is reasonably well understood, but now there's magic showing up, and that's really throwing them, because it's like, well, what else does that mean?
But then their technology would have still correctly. I suppose no, because we only project what we think.
Yeah,
About the past. So. Yeah.
And also the technology can be right.
Oh yeah, didn't mean to do that by the mic.
Yeah, thanks,
I was
Stu.
using the light of the screen.
Yeah,
and instead I went.
Yes,
You
dear
held it
audience.
up where your mic is.
Dear audience,
It's. I
I'm
have
going
to
to
hold
edit
it.
any
Look,
of this. So this is what you're
Keep
going
it
to be
quick.
your experience is what we had the whole time that I cut out. This is why.
yeah. Also, here's something I've noticed. So you can hear me somewhat clearly here, but apparently back here's quiet. So you'd never have heard me vaping. I knew you couldn't hear me vape. Look at the pose I've got with my couch as well. I'm like a moth. Yeah.
Exquisitely well framed.
Look,
But you
if
got
I'm
wings.
frightened, when I'm frightened, I show my eyes. That's amazing.
Okay.
My character's my character's called the Moth. That's one of his aliases, the Moth.
Brad Muscles,
Brad
aka
Muscles.
the Moth.
Brad the Moth Muscles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Or Brad the Muscles Moth, but Brad
what is this
Brad the
world?
Moth Muscles.
What is this world rich in? So we're uplifting tale of spooky bureaucracy. So I think it's going to be rich in kind of organization, if you see what I mean.
Rules.
Paper, offices.
Maybe it's rich in the what's it called? The thing I said earlier, fantasy creatures.
Yeah.
Because it's a spooky world, it's got a really good supply of zombies, werewolves, vampires.
I mean maybe these are what are showing up.
I don't know.
I think it's rich in technology, isn't it? And if you've got a heavy bureaucracy that's rich in technology, then maybe actually the pen and paper thing isn't so much it. Maybe it all happens in the background and all of your bureaucracy's done for you, which is kind of how people get controlled.
Yeah, okay.
And that kind of creates a reason to be completely shunning technology and finding your way into these other paths.
Yeah, and so I think correspondingly, the world is poor in freedom. Because
that goes against the uplifted, happy people.
Well, they are still quite controlled though, because it's very bureaucratic.
Okay, I suppose. Well, okay, everything works though now. That's the benefit. It will just work.
People are happy that it works.
Like Google Maps.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I'm happy I've got Google Maps for free. It knows where I am at every point in the day and who I'm stood next to, so that it can do its little things in the background. It's definitely an assault on my freedom, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah,
because
it's
I get to know how long it takes to go down the road.
Yeah, it is useful. It is funny how easily we're coerced. So like, yeah, but okay, it's evil, like demonstrably evil, but it is going to improve life a little bit. And we're like, sold. Yep, give me that tech.
So something else I think the world is probably poor in is magical understanding. Because magic's kind of coming back, people don't really know what it's about or where it's from yet.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
also, steak bakes. I think it should be poor in steak bakes.
Okay.
They haven't been invented.
Steak bakes never got invented.
Yeah.
The world is... So what else?
I'm not sure that makes a happy world, though.
I mean,
I like a steak bake.
I haven't had a steak bake in years, and I would consider myself content at least.
Cheese, sausage, and bean.
If you did have one, Ben, you could be happy.
Oh,
what are you doing, Stuart?
I'm giving the listeners what they look at chat. Crotch shot, please. Lol. Show us your crotch. So I've done it. There,
no,
done.
They're
chat,
saying,
are you
no,
happy?
We could hear the vaping. That's what they're saying, Stuart.
You've got a different chat to me then, Ben, to be honest with you. I can't see.
I think you're reading someone's OnlyFans.
Wait, no, Ali has said that Stu's doing the Lord's work. I think Ali was a fan of the crotch shot there.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you.
Aside from Stuart's antics,
I like you more as a viewer. Yeah, thank you. I'm like Ben, don't talk over this. It's got to land, or it's just going to be really horrible.
What else is the world rich in?
Vapes. Everyone vapes all the time. No.
So
what's it rich in?
I think organisation is
bingo context.
Rich in information and knowledge.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of the technology.
But also that knowledge is starting to inexplicably fail in places because the world is changing.
And the world actually is rich in magic as well. Like there is a shit. It's like atoms. Magic works almost like just controlling atoms. That's why people are now like, oh shit, you can do anything. You're like, yeah. In fact, that's what the magic system is like matter and atom manipulation. Maybe.
Okay.
Wow, I'm going to be powerful in this game.
We're going to.
But it's a cool, like, it's almost like magic is being discovered as science is being, as science was discovered.
So
that's kind of cool.
If I was to wake up in this world tomorrow, what would be the first difference I noticed?
No breakfast.
No breakfast.
Yeah, it's going to be no breakfast. What the hell? Where the hell am I? And you don't even think it's the Mandela effect because that's not allowed in this stream. You've got no idea what's going on. You are so lost. Sandwich, sir? It's 8 a.m. A side of fries, perhaps. What's going on? Breakfast, sir? What is this?
Everyone exclusively has Eggs Benedict.
Wow, I do like Eggs Benedict.
I don't like the hollandaise sauce. Wait, we're not even allowed to discuss breakfast OC, guys. Okay. I've started to... Oh, we are. I've started to... Top viewing. This is the stuff you used to be able to out, but you can't. I've started making congee. A kind of a vegetarian congee, but it's quite good.
Great.
It's
great
chicken
stuff.
rice, basically.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no, Ben, this can't get edited, so I could talk about congee all night and be like, that's time, let's go.
So, any kind of sounds or smells or sights that would also indicate that I was somewhere completely different? Like?
Yes. I'd say if you're in a major city, it's noisy, sky rises, like flying cars type tech, that sort of thing.
I think it might not be noisy.
Maybe not flying cars.
Like really advanced technology, and it's really silent. Okay. Everything runs on lasers.
There's still a lot of people though. So I mean, it's like hustle and bustle. Like it's a lively
so there's like
place.
shouting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's like people shouting out of their flying cars at each other, but you don't hear the flying cars. You just hear them yelling and like their flying car horns.
Yeah. But maybe we're not quite as far as flying cars. Maybe we would. I don't know.
I think near future, but drones are probably near future.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd notice a heavy. Carry on, Lucy.
Okay.
Get it over with. Come on, just get it done. Jesus Christ.
I think magic has a particular smell to it.
Okay.
Oh, you've got a particular smell to it.
What do you think it smells like, or do you think that depends on the magic?
Yeah, I think it would depend on on the magic it is.
That's really cool. For me as a GM, that gives me a lot of opportunity to like foreshadow there's some magic going on.
Yeah.
By being like, oh yeah, you can smell burnt toast or something, and that then gains significance. Magic is the next question. And
yes.
So the way magic behaves is going to have massive impact on the experience of those who live in the world and the adventures your characters go through. So the following questions offer a list of possibilities, and these are kind of just some examples. So the first thing is, what are the elements that magic operates on? And suggestions I've got are things like earth, air, fire and water, heat and cold, light and darkness, stone, wood, metal, electrical potential, living plants, wild creatures, life and death, minds, souls, words, physical structure, orientation and space, gravity, density or pressure, and time.
You know what my answer is going to be? I'm saying all of it, but we don't know. No, so it starts a little, like I say, with matter, magic, energy manipulation. So yeah, we now realize that magic can do blah, blah, blah. We can power vehicles and things, I guess, quite a hard one. But eventually the end goal is that you could, if you had a magician powerful enough, he could just crush the world between his hands. There is no limit to magic.
A little bit.
Not for us. Oh, Matrixy.
A little bit Matrixy.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, no, Ben said tropes are fine.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So it's maybe like...
It gives us so much freedom. If the answer is everything, then at some point we can have crazy reveals of, oh, this person's done this. Like baddies going, oh yeah, but I've actually learned how to do this. Click, everyone's gone. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I think it involves manipulating or rewriting the laws of physics or physical constants.
Okay, so it's effectively, it's rearranging the nature of reality.
It can be. I mean, yeah, in essence, it is. But then no one's ever gone beyond, that we know of.
Yeah,
anything major.
Like we don't know what exactly the limits are, but we know that people seem to be able to change almost anything in the world.
Yeah. But some people are specific, like you have fire mages, water mages, but then you have the kind of more jack of all trades that can do lots of little bits and people that turn their hands to different things. And it might be that it is a skill that if you practice one, you get better and better and better until you've learned really good. I like the idea
of it being an emerging concept, and like that's what the technological giants are trying to suppress and crush. And that sort of notion that the kind of level that we start off at is being able to adjust physics. So, like, some people can just jump for miles, or sort of slow and stop things that have been thrown at them, that sort of thing. But creating pure things out of thin air is kind of beyond the reach at the moment.
Yeah.
That we know of. Like, no one's known for doing it. I also like the idea that there
bending
could be
time and bending light and things like that. That's kind of all on the table.
I like the idea that somebody is doing stuff and covering tracks by, oh damn it, we could have referenced Mandela affecting, but effectively just kind of mind wiping and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wait, no, we banned that.
Never Mandela affecting things. That's just not, this person cannot do that.
So the next question I have,
and stats as well. stats as well. You can manipulate. You can manipulate the chance of things happening.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think if
you would like that, Lucy.
Yeah, I think if the tone is spooky, then I think that I like the idea of magic involving using words and candles and smoke, and I like the idea of magic. What?
I like that less. I'm not playing a dude that has to put a load of candles out. I'm not having a nice bath, Lucy. I'm casting
you don't want
magic.
To play a dude
you
who does
should.
magic by smoking. Like, who are you?
Wait. Yeah, I forgot I am dark and mysterious. Okay, but I've also got Ben, I was gonna say magical tattoos. Amazing. It was a trope
Amazing.
Me and Ben were discussing recently is people saying they hated, but me and Ben going, does it happen that often? And then completely off my own. Now I'm like, oh, it's dark and we just aren't reading dark and spooky stuff, I guess.
So
I like the idea as well of like magic being more powerful if you perform in magic with a group of people, and maybe that might work on the kind of bureaucracy and organized sort of thing.
Also, the next question on my list is, where does the power come from? I think the answer to that we've established is nobody knows.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a question that will probably become important at some point.
Nah. I can't see it coming up, if I'm honest. Or we're going to deliberately avoid it.
That's also has been known.
We got plans.
Just had to communicate with the horses.
Me? Wow. I was going to say, okay, we get it. You're a cowboy. You don't see me climbing. Oh, hold on, guys. Let me just, just stretch.
Wait, is that Brad Muscles?
It's Bradley Muscles to his friends.
No one calls him
Brad to strangers. Oh, look.
So, our next section is religion.
Okay.
And the first question is, in this world, what is a god? And the suggestions that we have here is, or there may not be gods. And if there aren't, the interesting question is probably what happened to them.
I feel like this is going to be somewhat obvious, but the magic, oh no, we're going to say we don't know where it comes from, but maybe that it's being pulled from the gods. So all this magic use is slowly killing the gods. Dum, dum, dum. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But we also don't know where it comes from. Leaves it more open and free. So
yeah. So we have in this, the suggestions for what is a god that I have on the list, a powerful entity that was responsible for the creation and supervision of the world, a powerful entity that's responsible for the well-being of people, a powerful entity that has power over a specific activity, element, or magical domain, a powerful idea that influences the decisions people make, a limited yet globally available source of power that shows attributes of consciousness, or the underlying mind of existence itself or a fragment thereof. And so those are kind of the flavours, some of the flavours that I've thought of.
I kind of like the idea of not knowing.
I think the corporations occupy the god space.
Oh, yeah, corporations.
Yeah, maybe there's still going to be people that believe in gods, because I think regardless, you're always going to get belief in gods.
And I wonder if some of that...
corporations being at such a level where the argument is that, in fact, the magic isn't magic. It's just a rival corporation secretly running out its own new thing to take down the other ones.
Yeah.
They are sort of sufficiently beyond the reach of any normal person and have sufficient power that they might as well be.
Yeah, and they don't have
maybe
a mind. Like they aren't controlled by a person really. They act in the interests of corporations, which is also true about corporations in this world. There's a really fun Charles Stross post about that, like 10, 15 years old now, about how corporations effectively are like alien sentiences. So yeah, that's really fun. That's really interesting. And
what about the magic users are talking of a god?
Yeah.
So it could be that there's a god returning. Now that would be cool.
Yeah, and also that sort of ties in with the magic users, like the corporate people thinking it might be a new corporation. In a way, that's like a new god to them. So that kind of ties in. And my next question is, what do they want?
Who does what want? What does who want?
The corporations, what are they interested in? Is it kind of like a hegemonic control, do you think?
I tell you what if they actually were gods and this is the way they are now, they've just worked out that this is easier than using magic and being gods. And they're like, let's just open these corporations and use our magic to make all this tech.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah, no, an argument as to whether the corporations are gods or whether gods are corporations.
Yeah, this is also leading into some kind of craft sequence territory, which I'm here for because that's a very fun series of books. Again, they're very much magical bureaucracy. No, Max Gladstone, excellent author. He manages to do like financial thrillers that are fantasy about gods, about people like shorting on gods and things like that. It's really fun.
Oh, Ali
Great. Well, let's
thing.
not do that again.
Yeah, Ali's also here for it, and we like that.
Oh, Alison, at the moment, is there anything you dislike or like particularly? Let's get her input on any dislikes. Write your comments in the chat, guys. Subscribe, like, thank. Yeah, do like this channel. Wait, like and subscribe.
You can like and subscribe. We've joked about that.
We're going to turn that into the short.
So I think the next
please like and subscribe. Yeah, nice.
The next big question, unless we have any, I think back burner question for maybe next time and when we talk about cultures, is like what some of these corporations are called and like what their roles are. I think that might be something we can come back to because it's the kind of thing that's nice to think about and then be like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if there's a corporation that does that. So I think we might figure that out in the background. But how do people interact with them? Like, and this is...
They don't.
Well,
we don't talk to this. We've never talked to Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. We just wouldn't.
But we use people Facebook. Don't. We use Windows.
Yeah. We do.
So we're interacting with their corporations.
That's it. We're interacting with the corporations, but we never see the top dog.
Yeah.
Why would we? So like they've got a close knit of demigod friends. Oh my God, all their friends are demigods. Everyone in a position of power, like a proper power, is some level of god.
Well, that's basically the way that people believe themselves to be now. So yeah, and it works. When I'm talking about religion, we're looking at like what type of temples or churches or whatever shrines we have. So it's kind of like whether people go to church service on a Tuesday night and sing hymns or sacrifice a goat or whatever. So how do we think people interact with corporations in their role as kind of religious benefactors?
Well, it's probably subscriptions and platforms.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
If you're like an Apple fanboy, then...
Yeah, maybe there's almost like a credit union element to it where, you pay in your subscription and you can then ask for benevolence in future. You see, all this setup is making playing a priest type character really interesting as well. That kind of archetype is now like an arbiter of relationships between corporations and the public in a really fun way. So, yeah, I think we'll go through and do some of the... I think we'll probably take offline the actual description of some of the deities. And we'll go on to cultures instead, which is kind of a little like the last big section. We've got an idea of what the world's shaped like now. And so the idea is that each of us describes a culture that lives in this world. And by a culture, like in D&D and a lot of other tabletop games, you know, you have like the orcs who do this or the ogres or whatever. And that's a great way of making your world kind of racist. And what we're interested in is like the things that...
And we want to do that.
We don't want to... That's not the goal this time.
To be fair, we didn't ban it, so I'm like, it was... No one chose to ban it, is what I'm saying.
We did say the usual things are off the table, and that's the usual thing.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty sure. It'll be inadvertent.
like always in white people performances.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is the problem. No.
So when we're talking about culture, we're talking about uniquely identifiable cultures that have a name, that have a place where they live and a way they dress. So, you know, you might say British people would be a culture. We're not limited in a world where there are magical creatures and magical peoples. Ali mentioned in her yes list that she likes pangolins. So I think there are like pangolin people in this world.
Oh, that's it, pangolin people.
That's not the only people, but they're like...
Ooh,
so I think
and
there
maybe
are
they're
different
actually...
types of people. There are people with animal attributes.
Maybe the pangolin people are actually they're well known as being really good, strong fighters because they've got natural armor.
They've got, yeah.
That's fine. I think pangolin people would turn naturally to kind of this, maybe the more defensive style, but
yeah. So
you know, and you can have half. Well, wait a minute. If there's pangolin people, how are the corporations arguing that magic's not a thing?
Well,
she'd be like, yeah, but that person's a pangolin.
There've always been people like
this is true.
Let's imagine that we have like Neanderthals and Denisovans had survived, and we had multiple types of humanity. Apart from the fact that people would have been insane about it, there'd also be a degree of like, oh, there've always been different types of people.
What if the pangolin people and the different types of people are starting to turn up? That ties in with the magic and going, hold on, that dude's a pangolin.
It's interesting, isn't it? So Stu,
what's a pangolin?
It's like a scaled anteater. They're a cool animal.
And we saw one at the weekend that had an actual slot in its back for where
like
its head slot went. It ducked its head in and it filled in the gap in its armor with a piece of armor on its head.
Oh man, that's really cool.
You're like, man, evolution is bonkers.
That's so cool. Yeah, if you're not
and he was so big, he was just so fast.
You should definitely look at what pangolins are. So Stu, we'll start with you.
I'm going to pop to the toilet very quickly. Hang on.
In fact, do we want to do a 5-minute break while we...
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
While we go through a bit of time figuring out. Okay, we'll be back in 5.
We'll be back in 5. It's so...
back up. I don't know why I have to bring the audio back up on OBS.
Look what
Stuart, no knees on stream.
No knees on stream. Oh, no feet on stream.
Oh my God. How saucy.
Banned.
Okay, yes, the Victorian part of our audience are having a miserable time. Oh, no.
Now. We're excluding them already.
Exciting time.
Yeah.
Racy.
I find it most stimulating.
Are we back?
Yeah, so while we were away, Gwyn was having some really fun ideas about these corporations.
And you can hear them on our Patreon for $9.99 a month.
Alas. No, you can't.
But give us the money anyway. Plix, give money, Plix.
Yeah, so Stu, why don't you be quiet for a second? So Gwyn, do you want to kind of repeat some of what we're saying then and maybe explore it?
Yeah, no, I was saying that the corporations should basically have monopolized like certain fundamental areas. And as we're going with like a game show / media like hint, then I think that we should have 5 or 6 corporations, like the core corporations being who, what, when, where, and why, and maybe a 6th corporation called how, and everything is just utterly controlled. Like within those arenas, those corporations sort of control what's going on. And maybe if there's a dispute and a bit of overlap in between them, then that's where they can rub up against each other. But like what, for instance, like makes everything?
Yeah.
Like who has got like information on everybody, and has profiled everybody? Like where is your navigation and and so on and so forth.
No, I think that's really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. But so are we saying that they are effectively and they're still entities that are known as that's what us humans call them? So
yeah, that's the names of the corporations, probably with like flashy graphic designed little logos to indicate it,
I almost like
just
the idea of it being
boiled right down into like their pure forms.
I also really like the idea that, and as I say, I may dislike it, that the corporations were originally just people who captured who, what, where, and when they capture. They've got like 6 or 7 gods in this like god prison, and they're siphoning the power to like. So the guy with where they were like, well, we can use this to put satellites and things up. We can do maybe you wouldn't put satellites up if you know where everything is.
I think this is kind of the direction. We've got this.
Well, no, you could have chained up God, and that's what you. Yeah. That's what you managed to get out of them. That's how you control what's.
That's how the worshippers. That's how God worship has become. Is that it's gone from worshipping to shackling for power.
Well, like maybe the average everyday worship is more like buying shares, or like investing.
Maybe that. What would be interesting is if that's known as well, because we're playing to the assumption that it's not known. But what if the people know that the God you choose is investing your money in things, or you go out for food and you are contributing to the God? You are literally worshipping that God that way.
Also going to say that we're going to, it's going to lead to interesting conversations when we're trying to figure out who was somewhere, and the person who knows who was somewhere is who. And we're like, has anyone asked who was here? And I'm like, well, where? No, we're not asking where, who was here. So yes, that's going to be very
the theme of your NPCs is that they are often riffing on what third base. And their bases are numbered 1 through 4. So you've got base 1, which is where the communications team lives. Base 2 is kind of like financial control.
So I'm seeing this world as being quite urbanized and probably it's regimented, it's urbanized. You have big skyscraper cities and probably like expanses of farmland between, and kind of almost, I wonder if they kind of dismiss places outside of used land as just like the wasteland. Like,
yeah, see, now when you asked me previously to think of a culture, I was thinking of effectively either attached as like a shanty town, but there's going out into the ocean or in the middle of the ocean is a vast either floating city or city up on stilts where it's kind of fishermen, but now it started as a fishing village that is now it's a city that rivals this city. So, like the one we're in is obviously a city and they trade with these.
So this is like a corporation city out at sea. Maybe it was once.
Oh no, it was outside of the corporation. Sorry, so it's got its own thing completely. It is a totally different system, unless the corporations being gods affects the whole world. But these guys, I was thinking, no, they don't.
Okay,
they don't do that. It's a totally different city. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really.
But it's free to. They're not at war. They are freely trading and visiting each other, though. So they are connected.
Yeah. Okay.
Not like outsiders and like they're scared of them. They're like, no, these are people we trade with.
Okay, that's really
We're
cool.
free to go to their land.
I quite like the idea as well of like, because it's a lot of technology and things, that there's probably smallish groups throughout the world that are rejecting the technology and corporations and all of that, and living,
or just don't have the tech.
Living on the but by choice, that they're like, no, we don't like that, we don't believe in it, because they maybe see it as like some sort of religion.
Do we have a name for this culture or this city, Stu?
I mean, not yet. I guess we'll find out. It's in theory you'd think it would be something sea based, but
well, let's see what we think of. We had, but never used in our first campaign. We had a floating city called Drift, which is quite name.
Although I like the idea that the Drift's quite cool. Although it doesn't drift.
No, but like it's almost like, or it could be like adrift, and people who come from it are called the Drift.
Yeah. That okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's what it's called. Yeah. But I also like that there are, in theory to come, other cities / mini civil. Like each city is almost like a mega city from Judge Dredd. So they're like a civilization, like a boiling pot of civilizations that are meeting all the time. And there's other cities and civilizations or nations that want the tech that these big cities have, and so they are saying, okay, well, we'll help you with this, we'll give you this X amount of grain to keep it somewhat fantasy based, but you give us TVs, let us watch TV, and we'll give you horses and grain for TVs. Oldest trade in the book.
It's like nothing more fantasy all over again.
It's mentioned in every version of a religious book. It is the oldest trade.
I don't think that's the oldest trade. No,
isn't that?
No, that's the thing. I've been using my choice of words very wisely. It's older even than that. Grain for TV. The two just a match made in heaven.
They just naturally belong together. Okay, so
literally,
how do people tend to dress in this culture? Like
flamboyantly? No, normally.
No, I think
spooky.
Well, we haven't established what normal is yet, so this is like normal for the Drift, but there's probably things that mark them out.
Yeah,
like
wellies.
Southwesters, maybe like raincoat type.
No, you wouldn't. Like, if you're on a floating city, you don't want anything that's going to weigh you down. So that's it. They're always kind of like very
covered in armbands.
They do all, because there is tech in the world. So they do all have some kind of flotation device, because when the storms come in, and they've all got some kind of GPS. There's a system. So I'm going to bring all my cruise knowledge into
Okay,
so they've got a system in place. Yeah, cool.
That's
we'll
really
get into
cool.
that.
I like the idea that like there's like a kind of almost a deep cultural thing of like where your flotation device is, and maybe you know where you're like you have like a carabiner or whatever that you would clip onto the if a storm's coming in.
This isn't a fantasy. Yeah, it's not a fantasy joke. You see, this is the friggin' sea. Sure, they could have moved, but that's why they were adrift and they hit a reef, and that's it spawned from a reef. But actually, it's really stormy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. What do other cultures say about the drift? What do people from other places say about them?
Hold on, they're talking about chatting. They're sassing me in chat just because I can't.
No one would
Where
sass
do I
you in
click
chat.
to chat?
Don't do
sassing
it.
Me in
I
chat.
don't care. You deserve to be sassed if you don't get on
How
with
do
it.
I sass back?
No, not sass
me. It was me sassing you.
How?
10
That's
minutes
what
ago.
does it mean? You know how to do it. Try and do it on your phone and see if it works. We've got to interact with the chat,
we haven't.
guys.
Stuart.
No, we literally do.
No, we literally
I mean,
don't.
they can hear you.
We literally don't. They can hear you. That's an interaction.
Sorry.
You getting on with it. That's you interacting.
I've been talking for ages. How you guys go?
So, what do other cultures say about the drift? This one's your culture, so this is
okay.
Probably
like
say whackers.
They're just a more kind of practical people.
Yeah.
I think they're viewed as practical because they're all working. If you're on the, maybe it is held in place with like, so everyone's got a job on the drift because, we're out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. And so
They've got strong hands.
Yes, calluses. My calluses.
So maybe other cultures.
If they're all fishermen, you would be.
Yeah, that's it. They might be like, drifters smell of fish. It's that kind of thing other people are going to say about them. Versus, for comparison, what do they say about themselves is the other thing. So,
I was going to say what they said about the people in this city. They're kind of like that. It seems it's a decadent city. The Drift is a working city. This one kind of feels a bit decadent.
Yeah,
because they obviously don't have the same levels of tech.
Yeah, so the Drift are like, we're hardworking people. We know what a real day's work is. Those folk who've never weathered a storm, what do they even know about life?
But it's not said like as a serious thing. It's not like they think they haven't worked. They don't know they've been born because they still trade and they know that there are workers. It's still a working city and they're good, honest people. But it's kind of a saying is like, if you haven't weathered the storm, then like, you're not quite at our level.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think maybe all the people in the cities where there's the big corporations, like all clothing is like branded by the different corporations?
Yeah.
And then in the Drift, they're like no logos, entirely plain clothing, practical.
Yeah. So that goes into their kind of how they dress. I think that's really fun. At their best, what are they like?
Like old fishermen.
I mean, there's a fair share of old fishermen with fishermen's tales. Like they're basically, you could describe them as, and this is kind of a joke within like the main city, is like what size fish they nearly caught. That's kind of how old you can judge. That's the running gag, is like, depending on how big the fish is, their status and age and how long they've been on the Drift. Because a lot of people just go to the Drift to trade and just stay because it's that lifestyle of kind of like, it's almost like there are wooden huts and gaps in the floor where they can fish, and it's almost an idyllic island lifestyle. But around that, there's the industry of we still each have a trade and we each bring something to the city. And now it's a huge city, almost working as one organism, like a jellyfish. Ooh.
So there's another what do they like at their best? I think everyone brings something to the city. Like is like a nice aspect. What do they like at their worst?
Murder. They murder like crazy. No. What are they like at their worst?
Yeah, like I feel like they might be really proud, or
Yeah.
a bit kind of like
It's snobbish towards the.
yeah,
But they're
yeah.
also not, because they're kind of like made up of people that have kind of come there and got it. So it's almost like you get it and you stay,
So
or you're
there's-
not a drifter. Like,
yeah.
but I don't know if that's a downside. That's another one of the positives.
Yeah. So it's kind of, that's the thing to think about. Like, we can, as we go through the other cultures, think about that and see if we have some good pictures for like when, because we're going through the same questions for each culture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think a good one is that they're not like a cohesive force. They're not like, you couldn't rally the soldiers, you couldn't form a war party out of these people, because they each work individually together.
So do you think they're all like individuals? It's not so much like a big leadership in charge of the drift.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a nice.
there's going to be people. There are people in, you know, it'll have its version of a captain, but everyone. It's not like he's giving out orders every day. There's not like a government going, "Here's your orders." It's like, "Welcome to the drift. What can you do?" I'm really good at hewing rope, which I think is the term for turning it into rope. So, you know, I'm really good at making rope, and they're like, "Okay, can you give us 50 barrels a week, 50 barrels of rope a week?" And he's like, "Can do."
Barrels.
50 barrels of rope. And then the barrel maker's like, "I can make those barrels."
Yeah. That's the
And
biggest.
then you're
That's
like,
the biggest profession in the drift is barrel making, because everything has to be stored in barrels, and everything's measured in how many barrels of something.
It's like, it's really awkward for a lot of things. They've got the most skilled coopers in the world.
Especially things that are bigger than a barrel.
Yeah, like televisions. They're trying to cram them into a barrel. It's just really awkward. But it's the only way they can trade for grain.
Yeah, but that now needs, basically, yeah.
So Gwyn,
that was good.
Yeah.
What's another culture?
Yeah, I was trying to think about it, because a lot of this writes itself.
Yeah,
like, it's like you've got, you know, you have people that are benefiting from the corporations. You've probably got influencers that are almost like the champions of their particular corporation and all the rest. So I think there's probably an interesting subculture in there somewhere, where if this is a sort of near future universe where the like Tech and Corps have gone so hard that they've monetized everything that is possible to monetize, then there is a category of people that are left that are just unmonetizable.
Yeah.
And in order to try to there's still some level of value that has been assigned to those people, and we're playing in a happy world.
Yeah.
So, like, somewhere along the line, the big corporations have decided that in order to keep everybody else happy, you just kind of need to keep them out of the way. Although maybe they've got a little bit of a, like, I don't know, because I don't even particularly want that culture to be that people see them as freeloaders. Like, somehow they just kind of managed to get put into a category where they just get on with it.
Like, people arrange busy work for them just to give them something to do that seems useful, but
they're probably given a label by the corporations as unmonetizable, and there's a culture around that where, like, everything's like, all of their details are known about them. Like, everybody's all over them, trying to work out some way to extract value out of them, but somehow they just manage to evade it.
Maybe they're like the ultimate focus group or something. So, like,
almost like a socialite that's not very good at socializing.
So I maybe perhaps we could.
You'd also have people in that would reject the tech, and they would naturally fall into that kind of crowd as well.
Well, they might do, but they might.
I think that's a separate culture. People that are actively rejecting it, then there is some, you know, you can get information about those guys and sell it on to people that don't like them. But these people, there's nothing particularly like, nothing particularly outstanding about them at all.
Disenfranchised.
Yeah, I've called them like
they're called the Franners,
like the devalued or something.
Yeah,
the devals. Let's go.
Devalued.
Maybe something along those lines. So do we think
the
that
worthless?
These people are like? Do you think they're allocated as kind of almost out the way communities, or like areas, so they don't get in the way of people who are like they're almost like on their own levels in the city, perhaps?
I think probably they're dispersed amongst the population, and it's kind of like where ideas go to die, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, they think they're doing. They think they're
not
doing
all
really
collected
good work.
together. Just that, you know, that neighbour that you've got that. Just
Silent Dave. I've lived in multiple houses with a Silent Dave. Different. Yeah. Okay. So they're kind of diverse. So, they're dispersed among the population, but they are a recognisable culture.
Dispersed is a good name for the culture.
That's cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
it is a good name.
So they're people that like the corporations haven't been able to market their things to them or get them to buy into the brand.
Well, it's not
so I like
that
the
they
idea
can't
that
buy in. It's like just them buying in isn't worth enough to be worth bothering with. It's like they're just not interesting enough to the corporations really on any level.
Like they've got weird social media feeds full of like Nigerian dance greetings, and then the next, you know, just nothing particularly makes sense. And it's not because they're trying hard not to; it just doesn't.
Maybe it's that. Wait, this is quite
the
good.
idea that they.
Maybe it's that.
Oh, go on.
Go on, Lucy. You did this last time. You've got a habit of this. My thing was, it's basically they don't get targeted advertisements. There's just no point. They're also known as the randoms because they're just given any
fit into any category.
Anything at the end of it. It's coming to the Wednesday's the last time we're running this advert. Just send it out to the randoms. That hits the numbers of times we've send it out. That's genius.
This is what I was thinking though, that like if it's that the corps can't market things to them, then that makes them like perhaps the ultimate marketing focus group. That's their job, is they're like product testing group, where because like if they can persuade them to buy into it,
but
then that means it's a really good advertising.
They might even be like a pseudo political class, but like the corporations are like, we can't do anything else with these guys. Let's just make it look as if they're enjoying life and they're getting privileges because they're making the decisions, although clearly we're doing that in the background. Like, if the only value we can get out of them is to use them as like a stooge for whatever we want to do.
They just made like board
and that's how you become a politician in this society.
Or I was thinking that's the group that starts feeling the magic and starts learning magic.
Maybe,
and I'm like, there we go.
So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's distinct enough to be a culture in itself, but I like the idea that there's like they've gone so hard at trying to extract value out of everything, and at some point they just can't. You know, some people.
I think this is fun.
We don't know what their deal is.
One of the questions here is, how do they dress? And I guess that really there isn't an answer to that so much as they don't dress like they belong to a marketing category. So almost like a socks and sandals type thing, like.
Or sometimes they do just go, I want to buy a t-shirt, that one looks nice, and it happens to have a brand name. They're not like the next day there'll be a different brand. It had a cat on it. I don't care that it said why ? Exclamation mark. That's their more fashion statement-y. They've put the exclamation mark on the end.
Yeah, so I think we've covered what other cultures say about them, which is really that, like, what is even the point of them? What do they say about themselves? I think they have quite a high opinion of themselves, probably. They think they're movers and shakers. If they're like this kind of like, almost like this middle manager, I see them as kind of like borough council level administrative or like type, no offense, Gwyn.
No, but I think in a world where you've got corporations pulling the strings on everything, and you want to keep people happy by giving them the illusion of agency, then having a category of people that you can't do anything else with, that you can kind of hold up to a light and go, well, they're the ones making the decision. I don't know, because then they've got value, haven't they? I don't know.
Yeah, so what they say about themselves is, I think it's like, we're the people, they think they're the people making decisions, and they absolutely are not. But they think that they're ready to make the hard decisions that matter in people's lives. And they sort of have this whole imaginary infrastructure around what they're doing, which is having no impact on anything, really. But it just keeps them out the way.
Maybe it's like a sufficiently large enough chain of bureaucracy that they make sure that that's partly why they're kept dispersed, so that each person involved in this goes to this meeting and then believes they pass something on to this committee, and then it goes around, and there's sufficient committees that eventually it just cycles around and around. And,
so it's like
nothing happens.
Yeah, so mostly what they do is meetings. And their use partly to the corporations in this is that they're keeping the other people who are like them out of everyone else's affair, so that they're kind of like maintaining themselves, and that's how they do become a culture, because they you end up knowing a lot of people around this community because you keep finding yourself in meetings with different people, and then they're in meetings with people, and it's like, and none of them. Yeah, I like that. I think that works well.
Yeah, like they've almost all been retired off at whatever age they are, because an algorithm's decided that, you know, you're just not going to get out more than you put in.
Yeah,
so let's just assign them to that, and off they go.
Yeah, so it's in a way, it's also people who have been maximally monetized. So it's not only people that can't be, it's people that can't be anymore. Like, you've monetized someone to a point where you're like, they're done now, they're cooked. We can't really get more out.
Maybe that's the game show element. You've actually got a monetization rating, and you know, you need to have a subset of people that you can point to and go, these people have like hit their maximum monetization rating. They're free to do whatever they want. You too could do this as long as you toe the line.
Yeah, that's fine.
But actually, the people that have hit their rating are just a bit useless, or are just too random to really properly spend the effort classifying or whatever else.
Yeah,
rather than anybody that's actually done like something to achieve it.
Yeah, because your rating is based on your potential. And so if your potential started out being evaluated very low, then you actually hit it quite easily. And then they're like, that's all we can do with you. Whereas if you're some kind of like engineering genius, then your rating is going to be extremely high because your potential is so high and you'll probably never hit it.
And the plus side is that like the people that you actually sort of getting that are hitting their rating, they hit it. They mostly just want to have some coffee. And sort of sit around and you know, do not very much. You know, they're not suddenly going to have designs on overthrowing the system or anything.
Yeah, and which is, and ain't that how capitalism works? So kind of like other cultures,
Is happy to exist within the system. But you know.
So what other cultures say about them? I think they kind of ignore them mostly. They don't even necessarily have something to say because they're not highlighted. They're never in focus. If you notice them, it's almost like your eyes. They're almost kind of like socially invisible.
I think it's almost aspirational in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like oh no, you achieved it. You got out of the rat run.
Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. And so, what are they like at their best?
I guess that kind of depends on what the objective is, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like who's best?
Yeah.
At their best, they probably are incredibly effective at something they're doing. They're just doing it in such a manner as to confuse any sort of conformity. That you might be able to build into a model and then market.
Yeah, or they're effective at busy work that they're being given to stop them doing anything more practical. And I feel like at their worst, they're probably pompous and annoying and represent of the worst corners of a parish council. So yeah, okay. I think that's a fun little culture to think about. What do you reckon, Lucy?
For a different culture.
Yes, we're looking for another culture.
I like the idea of people who've rejecting technology in the corporations and are living outside of cities, like self-sufficiently. Probably trying to have no contact with any of the corporations.
Yeah, so they're probably out in what is referred to as the wastelands, where you're away from the kind of corporate farm infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think I don't know whether it's that they're rejecting the technology and things, or more that they're rejecting the corporations.
Yeah.
So maybe they're okay with certain elements of technology, but they don't want. They don't want to
be monetized.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't want to pay the price of the corporations.
I like the idea that they're not necessarily like tiny little communities. That they may have like there's communities around the world or whatever that they link up and they trade and work together, and they're all separate little self-sufficient communities, but that they have communications with others. And
okay, so
I was going to say that while it's referred to as the wasteland, it's just a normal world out there. Like it's just worlds, towns, forests, fields. It's not like a desert wasteland. No. It's just a normal world.
It's just
mountains, rivers.
To the corporations,
they call it the
it's
wasteland.
Waste because it's not being used for their agriculture, because they have done the agriculture they calculate they need.
I guess. Yeah, exactly. But you would still get little farm holdings and you'd even get little suburbs where people may actually work in the city and then go back to a little house outside. Maybe
I don't think the corporations would like that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I think probably the corporations, like there will be corporate farms. There's like big corporate farms around the place that are covering thousands of acres that are responsible for, because they need to harvest a lot of grain if they want their televisions. And that's get those barrels of televisions in from the sea.
Wait. They import the grain. They can only farm so much grain, because then it's lush forest, and they're too scared to leave their walls.
They're importing the grain from the sea,
and they're selling the tea. Yeah, and they're they also buy the barrels from them as well.
Wait, no, yeah, those are the people that have rejected the corporations. They're the coopers. They're the ones that like make all the barrels for the drift.
Wow.
To store the things that they trade with the corporations. It's like it's a big,
which is predominantly grain.
Okay, so how do the coopers dress?
So again, I think these have rejected all the corporations. So it'd be like non-branded stuff, or like, you know, intentionally like patched over brands cut off things if they have to have things from the corporations.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll be honest, I've got a picture of denim dungarees.
Oh, yes. Like practical.
Ali suggests they wear barrels.
No, maybe they what?
Wear barrels.
They wear barrels, obviously. Yeah,
classic
absolutely.
Barrels on little straps over the shoulders, kind of a beat.
Like Gwyn did.
Think of clogs, but as clothes.
I actually think that
all wear dungarees like Dexy's Midnight Runners. All of them.
I actually think if they're sort of rejecting the corporations and all the branding and things, I think maybe they all try to dress as similarly as possible. Like it's like kind of a uniform that they'd all wear. Very similar clothing.
Okay, yeah. Well, probably there's like a couple of weavers in any given convent, or like a couple of textile makers in any given community. So if they've got stuff that they're making for themselves, it is going to inherently be samey. Because
what if there is a couple of like the old families that have been barrel makers for years, and they kind of run the whole show? They've got their fingers in every pie, like they supply
in every barrel.
Yeah, that's it. We got our fingers in every barrel. They supply the hemp that turns into the rope that they then sell the barrels for, so they control every element of barrel making. They've got control of.
You're talking about a barrel, what we might refer to as a barrel mafia here.
Barrel mafia, yeah.
We've got
They're called the
corporation gods of barrel mafia.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, every time I've played this game, it has been absolutely different from every other time I play this game, and I love that about it. I love that for us.
Yeah, this is quite
so
fun.
there is a barrel. There are old families among these people. Do we have a name for them? I've called them the Coopers.
Coopers works.
I think that kind of works.
I think Coopers.
What do other cultures say about them?
I think some of the corporations are probably quite angered by them that they didn't think to get in on the barrel making. There's a good market for barrels.
How did they not predict it was going to be this profitable to be good at barrel making? We should have seen it.
Yeah. It was probably some what did you call them? The dispersed. Some of the dispersed were like, wait. Yeah. Got an idea.
Yeah, they were like, there is a lot of profit to be made in barrels, but because they were dispersed, everyone ignored them, and then it was too late.
So they were just like,
the barrel monopoly had gone a different direction.
I'm off to the mountains.
Maybe there's a group of people that consider the dispersed to be effectively prophets, because they came up with the barrels, but they saw like that's how they're used. Their minds work differently. They can see the gaps in the market.
I think they're probably just regarded as uncultured. They'd be seen as kind of rubes.
Imagine that most of the people that are living in the big corporate city would think like, why would they do that? You know, why would you not live here? We're so happy here. This is great. Why are they out there?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then obviously the drift or the adrift are like they're essential for those barrels.
Yeah, and the drift kind of have a. I feel like the idea of old families is really good as a kind of almost like a feudal, like, where not that they have a strong power structure, but often where they do, it's to do with who you're connected to by family, and that sort of is important.
It could also be gods that turned away from the new way of doing things, that turned away from the corporations and went, no, we're doing it the old ways still. And then the Coopers were born.
So what
got us over a barrel?
Yeah, that's the saying.
What?
That's their view of them.
What do they say about themselves?
We'll get you over a barrel.
Did you just spray your keyboard with tea?
I did not, but it was a close run thing.
I also quite like the idea that the drift or the adrift had initially sort of started by one of the dispersed as well.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
That the Coopers are happy with what they're doing. What do they think about themselves?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, they're completely content with their lives. They didn't want any part of the corporations, and they're succeeding in. They're self-sufficient. They're able to trade, and they're able to access technology if they want to, but they can keep away from all the corporation stuff.
So. So what do they like at their best? I think that ties into that. They're kind of content. They're
barrel makers.
They're content. They're easygoing, and they're kind of skilled. Not just in barrels, but skilled in craft.
At their best, they can do like a 20-gallon barrel. You know. No idea how big that is.
I don't think it's that big.
That is
huge.
Really small. I don't know, like 20 gallons.
They can make 2-pint barrels. You're not going to get much rope in that.
Who's to say what the maximum size of a barrel is in this world?
Lisa just.
I like not going to get much rope in that.
You might say this is going to be a barrel role-playing game. What do they like at their worst?
Barrel makers.
I guess at their worst, they might be like really suspicious of.
Also, 20-gallon barrel makers.
So they're suspicious. They're kind of closed in.
That's not a handmade barrel. That's a factory barrel.
The thing is, to make a barrel that you're just going to keep rope in, it hasn't even got to be watertight, does it? Surely.
Yes. You know when your rope getting wet. Yeah.
There's one thing that we learn from sailing ships is that ropes must not get wet at any time. Ruin them.
I think our characters need to be representatives of each of these different towns.
Well,
so I'm a drifter.
This is part of where this comes from. It's like it gives us the setting and the type of people that we might end up having characters that come from these cultures. So I think suspicious and I think like they close ranks quite quickly, and that also goes in with the kind of barrel mafia, like the old families thing.
I feel like they're happy to do trade with you, but they're not going to welcome you into their community because you might be trying to corrupt them with corporate influence.
Plastic barrels.
Or plastic barrels. Man, don't they know about microplastics? So I think that's got one. We have one more culture, which is technically mine. I wish I'd thought about this instead of just chatting with you. I think there's a culture which is kind of like a lot of their middle class, really. I've got an idea of calling it the Kempt.
I like that.
Because they love watching Ross Kemp. Like you got Beliebers and
Yeah,
Swifties. You got the Kempt.
You got the Kempt. They're always
I
watching.
won't lie. I'm a little bit scared. That's his catchphrase. He says it every episode.
It's like they're watching the world's
What?
toughest.
What is he?
He's doing
Ross
there's a lot of
Kemp on
things
gang.
like the world's toughest
Ross Kemp
stationery
in a
supplier.
prism. Prison.
World stuff is what?
Stationery
Okay,
supplier.
guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit scared. I'm trapped in this prism for 24 hours.
World's most dangerous post office. These letters all get delivered before midnight
Still
tonight.
doing those? God.
I don't know.
Shouldn't
I
we have a
assume-
culture that
Ross
allows
Kemp.
us to be a bit spooky? Like,
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know. No, the world is just spooky.
I think
It doesn't seem very spooky, does it? It seems a bit
No,
slapstick.
it hasn't.
mm.
Yeah. Who
This is-
knew? Who knew?
well, this is we still have that there in the tone, and that means it's going to come into play.
Hmm.
Oh, I would like to suggest a culture if you have.
Um,
Oh no, you've got one called
well,
Kempt.
I've
Go
got
on.
the Kempt, and I think these people tend to live. These are the kind of like the more regular folk who work for the corporations. So they tend to have nice apartments. They tend to dress very stereotypic, like they're dressing in brands. This is when we talk. This is the kind of normie.
Mm.
I like the idea that maybe like they even have kind of like a role of people being like personal branding consultants that tell you what you should wear. Like, oh, and that's a priest. Like a branding consultant might be a priest for one of these corporations. Who's like, yeah, you should be wearing orange this year.
Are they like are they trying to working for a particular corporation and trying to get people into to their corporation?
I think these people are more like the
Consumers.
the consumers, yeah.
Hmm.
They're more they're not where the dispersed are unmonetizable. These are the people that really do get monetized heavily. But
And
they're
to
kind
be
of
fair,
into it.
The dispersed should be really actually very rare. It's hard to be
Yeah.
that unmonetizable. That's going to be a very small subculture.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's going to be unusual to come across somebody that that you can flag up as one of those.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think the the Kempt have nice apartments. They tend to live like. I like the idea of apartments around a shared garden, like that everyone can use. But because we've got spooky in the tone, the garden is also a graveyard.
Oh,
it's
yes.
like-
Like this.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe you have 3 generations of ancestors living underneath the carved courtyard of your, or like buried underneath the courtyard garden of your apartment.
Maybe they're actually living there as
Yeah, but-
undead skeletons. There's a skeleton beneath the city.
There's
Yes,
a what?
when you die, you become a skeleton, and you then go to live under the city. In
The skeleton
Just like in
city.
Paris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
live
like in Paris.
and they call
Except-
themselves the Skelly.
Except for the difference is that you get to play like xylophone on your ribs and stuff like that. And do a little
Yeah,
dance where
that's
you
one
swap
of
your
the-
skull with your friends and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of boring because there's not a lot of stuff down there. You are just the things you've just described are
That's
kind of the
basically
only
what you
weekend
can do.
activities that we have. As yeah, like should we do the head swap again? Oh, I guess.
You can bring things down there with you. Like you could bring, you could bring your knitting.
Yeah, but again, you're a skeleton. You are now immortal as a skeleton until maybe after a while you kind of forget your memories of being alive and you wander through this long dark tunnel out into the countryside, and that's where there's dungeons and mines and delves full of skeletons. Yeah, I'm putting that in. That's one of my cultures. The skeleton city. Chat, let's go big up on the Skeleton City. Let me hear my chat fans say Skeleton City. I'm looking now. I'm looking for Skeleton City. Come on.
Don't indulge him. Yeah, so I think other cultures say that, like, I think other cultures don't understand.
That's you saying it.
Whoa, someone said Skeleton City, guys. Whoa. I'll give them a heart for that.
What do they say about themselves? I think
solitary heart.
I think that the Kempt say that really they're the people who. What do they say about themselves? Like, they feel like they've solved the equation of life. They've basically got it made. At their best, they're well dressed and like friendly.
They probably feel like they're the real people. Like all of this exists to serve them, and it's working quite well for them. Yeah, it's probably what they think. And actually, like ordinarily, the Kempt is just like a way of referring to like the populace at large.
Yeah,
and it's probably only these other groups that would use it as a pejorative term.
Yeah, for sure.
They're the sheeple.
Yeah, exactly. What are they like at their worst? Classic sheeple.
Classic sheeple. Yeah.
So that gives us our essential gazetteer. We have an uplifting.
Can I add another culture?
We can add more cultures. That is
on top of skeletons. Yeah, carry on.
On top of skeletons.
Yes, it's in. Friggin' okay. Maybe they don't know you turn into skeletons. Maybe there's a corporation that deals with transporting your body, skelifying it, and then moving it to the Undercity where you get told. That's fine. No one on the top knows about the skeletons, but Skeleton City is now a thing.
Skeleton City. I'm here for Skeleton City.
I feel like I should add something media and game show related, given that I said that originally, but I'm not going to. I'll let you work out how that fits into the corporate culture. What I will add though is the cutters. And the cutters are, I think, within all of this, like to satisfy that spooky element, then either there's little bugs in all of these algorithms that either possibly not even corporate teams, but like independent teams that are like subcontracted, or like even like little gangs or something like that, that are perhaps considered like a bit kooky or conspiracy theorist or a little bit out on the fringe, and they're kind of subcontracted to just go and find those issues and cut them out and get rid of them. And it might be that big tech is going slightly wrong and they just needs a little bit shaving off if we're at the stage where tech is indistinguishable or competing with magic. Or it might even be that magic is starting to infect the fringes of tech, and they are going, and rather than trying to fix any of it, they're just, nullifying that whole area.
Right, yeah.
But they're kind of their own little conspiracy theorist bubble that are being brought to bear against some of these.
Okay.
These things, and so they engage with these like weird like anomalies, little spooky anomalies. and like whether they manifest as spooky phenomena or technological phenomena, then these guys pick up on it, see it as all connected, and as their duty to kill it off.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds very plausible. So we have, so like our first big question is, where do they live here? I feel like these might like effectively live in their vans a lot of the time. They're like really mobile.
Hmm.
I feel like they're probably like a lot of them are almost sort of developers.
Yeah,
It's like
you know,
a secret.
they're like your hackers.
yeah, cool.
So again, a dispersed network that are connected through some sort of network, rather than like all based in a particular place.
Communication.
Like they might not even know who each other is.
Yeah.
Is it like secret identities as well? Like this isn't like people are known. You don't, like you said, it's secret.
They're kind of like the Anonymous of this world.
Yeah. So there isn't a specific way they dress, except I kind of do imagine them in.
They've all got Guy Fawkes masks on.
Guy Fawkes masks. Okay, yeah. Guy Fawkes doesn't exist in this world, but they all have masks. They're just cutter masks in this world. Like for some reason they all have like the big moustache.
Yeah.
I had the idea that they wear like utility belts and like the like work trousers with loads of pockets. I feel like that's kind of
handymen. They dress like handymen.
Handyman
maintenance.
aesthetic.
They turn up and clean house.
And sometimes, like, there probably are situations where cleaning house might involve cleaning the residents of the house in a fairly permanent way.
Yeah, I was wondering
sending them
that.
to
Like, wonder
Town.
if like wonder if like things failing, like the dispersed, might be seen as part of the problem.
Yeah, and this is like one of the things that I do in this game as a GM is set up houses of cards to see where they fall. And I think this world building is already creating a very large house of cards. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun seeing what happens as things start to slide around the edge of it. Like, what do other cultures say about them? I think they have a kind of like a respected but not liked almost.
I think they, for like the corporations they occupy, a sort of plausible deniability base. They're not going to want to base up to anything working in a way other than the way they want it to work, and so they're sort of useful idiots.
Yeah, sure.
Going after these fringe things is fringe.
Yeah, you
I
do
wondered even
things and getting it sorted out.
Do you think it'd be one of those things where, like, if they did something that affected your personal interest, like, that corporation might be like, oh, there's some rogue elements amongst the cutters now that are not doing the good work anymore. That was uncalled for. Whereas when they do something to your rival or something that doesn't affect something you own, then they're like, yeah, good for them, keeping the system running.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I wondered if the cutters, they were viewed from outside as that there's a theory that like, when someone goes missing, handshake. It's the cutters. Like, I wonder if they've got a bit of a rep. Like, effectively, if you start to diss the corporations, you want to keep an eye out. And then there's no evidence that it's the cutters, and they may not be involved, but it's the cutters.
Yeah, there's somewhere between a looming threat and a.
But there's also rogue cutters that can
correcting
hack
element
you into systems.
Yeah, there's some. They're a scalpel which can harm or heal.
Yeah.
And what do they say about themselves?
I mean, I think they probably think they're the only ones that see the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can peer beyond the veil.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe they do actually have a surprising amount of power. Maybe they're seen as lackeys, but what they can do is actually highly valued. So, like, you pay for a good cutting group is worth the money because they will dispose of whatever you want to do. They will hack into the systems unknown. They will improve all your systems. So it's not like it's kind of they are valued. These guys are the best of the best at what they do, be it murdering or espionage, I suppose.
They're valued, but also, if possible, the corporations will underpay them. They're like, oh no, the market rate's pretty low, of course. I mean,
yeah, but
they come with a risk that they're going to do their own thing. You know?
Yeah,
but there would also be some within the within the structure that are like, you don't barter with these guys. These guys set the price and you pay it. Like, there are not many, but it's like the old families. These are similar people that are so good at what they do, they control the market, but in a very niche area. Everyone else can afford like the good, the bad, and the.
Well, there's probably a tension within them as to whether they want to like make society continue to run properly by getting rid of the stuff that's infecting the systems, or whether actually they see the current operation as being the anomaly.
It's a massive subculture in theory, because anyone that understands, again, maybe it's one of the elements of magic, that anyone that kind of goes, I really understand how to do this stuff, has kind of gravitated towards these positions, and then actually
probably similar to something like Anonymous.
Yeah.
In so much as it looks like it's a massive dispersed network, but actually it's probably about 5 people.
yeah, possibly not many of them. Okay, so we have a bunch of cultures. I don't know if your underground skeleton city counts as a culture, Stuart. I think that might be.
Why? Yes, it does. Back me up, chat.
No, I'm just thinking it's not so much a cult. I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Ooh.
I'm saying
okay, you got me.
Maybe
You got me
isn't
interested.
a culture, because that may be like the undead being directly controlled by corporate will or similar.
Yeah, but only until they lose their memories, which happens in like the space of a week or so. You've got a week of going, I'm a skeleton. Let's hang out and do skeleton things, and then you're kind of like,
hello, friend, I'm a skeleton.
Yeah, you would just be like doing skeleton jokes. Find your friends, be like, oh, who's here from, who's the oldest skeleton here?
There's probably a cloud somewhere that people get downloaded to as they cark it.
Maybe their conscious is downloaded in the skeletons.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes a week to download your consciousness, and then you're sent out into the dungeons as a skeleton.
And
so they use that really high-tech ability to download your conscience, and then they install it into a skeleton.
No, but I like the idea. They're so high tech that they can take your brain, but they're also equally high tech that they can reanimate your skeleton, make it mindless, and send it out into the world. That's what they've chosen to do with this.
What's the plan here?
Who knows? We'll find out in play.
Play to find out what happens. What happens is there's apparently skeletons.
And for some reason, they must load each skeleton up with gold and stuff, because you can go and retrieve that from the dungeons. So maybe there's... Oh, and there was a competition. Yes, one of the big game shows is that they put some microchips with the equivalent of Bitcoin on skeletons, and they sent 10 skeletons off out into the world, and it's like a game show. It's called Find That Skeleton.
I don't.
And if you find one of the USBs with $1 million on, you become rich. And there's a culture of adventurers that go out adventuring. Now we've got fantasy. We're bringing it back in. And we, as players, have a hot tip on one of the USB sticks, and we're going for it. We want to be rich.
I just don't know if Find that skeleton is what you. I feel like there's a cleverer name.
No way. The simplicity. The name is genius in its simplicity. What's the show about? Find that skeleton. Now you know. You know. Everyone is talking about maybe it's find my skeleton. And the CEO comes out and he's like, I have chosen 10 skeletons and pursued them with $10 million. And then there was a big show of sending them out into the countryside, and everyone had to wait a week before they could go skelly hunting.
Jump those bones.
Yeah, that's what it's called as well. That was a special episode where they had jumping skeletons. I don't know.
Where you could win the money by like riding a motorbike over 100 skeletons on a massive jump, Evel Knievel style.
Yeah.
Okay. So...
And the people don't know they are the skeletons. That's the big twist at the heart of Crudely Drawn Swords.
Silent
There's a
skeleton.
Every one of us.
Just waiting to get out. So we have an uplifting scale. We have I saw the word pangolin and said scale. We have an uplifting tale of spooky bureaucracy. The world is technological, but magic users have been gaining a sense of magic appearing. We have technology and bureaucracy, organisation, knowledge and magic, but we don't have freedom, we don't have understanding of magic, and we don't have steak bakes.
Hold on, outside the city though, that's the only place you can get a steak bake, and people are always trying to escape. Wow, really?
They've never been invented. Never.
There's no cows in this world. They only have oat milk.
Wow. We are now learning some big truths about the world.
I was trying to think how no steak bakes could have occurred. I think there's just no beef.
Maybe pastry doesn't exist either.
Yeah, there's no like miners.
Yeah.
You know, to invent pasties and thus develop from there.
So, if I woke up in the world tomorrow, I'd notice there was no breakfast.
Yeah.
It was quiet.
I'm sorry.
It was quiet, even though there are motorized vehicles. But if anyone nearby was using magic, I could smell it. Magic operates on the fundamental nature of reality and the physical nature of things. It can rearrange, transfer, and shift those things. Nobody knows where it comes from, but people working together can work more powerful magic than people working alone. Corporations occupy the space of religions. They may have been founded on gods. Either way, they're beyond the reach of humans. Magic users feel like there might be some divine reason that magic is returning. The gods want worship and control. And people interact with them by subscriptions through their platforms, by buying shares, and by dressing and interacting dressing in corporate styles, interacting with the fashions of the day. And so we have the 5 monopolies, which we're maybe going to go into more detail in offline, who are currently called who, what, when, where, why, and how. The 6 monopolies, you might call them. We should call them the 5 monopolies, but there's 6 of them. And that's just like one of the weird enigmas of the world.
And when everyone says why, everyone's kind of like, he gets it.
There's a culture called the Adrift, or the Drift, who live in outside a city in the sea. They're fun, disorganized, and anarchic. They always have a flotation device and a carabiner to clip onto the city when a storm comes in, and they wear those even when they're visiting like landlocked cities. They're a mark of pride. Their clothes don't have logos, they're practical. Other people say that they're all fishermen and weirdly obsessed with the weather. They say about themselves that they're hardworking people and that people who've never weathered a storm won't understand. At their best, they're storytellers and everyone brings something to the city. At their worst, they're disagreeable, non-cohesive and individualistic to a fault. We have a culture called the dispersed, who are dispersed amongst the population, many of them older. They don't dress like they belong to a marketing category. That's what marks out their dress. Other cultures see them as almost aspirational because they've kind of achieved that goal of being beyond monetization. They've become everything they can be, but maybe what they can be wasn't very much. They believe they're the people making decisions. They're not the people making decisions. At their best, they're effective at something they're doing. They're just doing it in a manner that confuses any conformity. At their worst, they're pompous and annoying, retired off at whatever age they reached their peak. We have a culture called the Coopers, who live outside the cities, probably in wastelands, self-sufficient, but a global network. They dress in patched over brands, denim and dungarees, almost like uniforms, very samey clothing. Other cultures say the corporations find them irritating, but not worth kind of attacking. They're just an annoyance. People see them as uncultured, and a lot of city dwellers just find it inexplicable that they're like that. What they say about themselves is, we'll get you over a barrel. But they're generally content with their lives. They don't want the things that the corporate citizens have. At their best, they're content, easygoing, skilled in craft, and have big barrels. At their worst, they're suspicious, close-ranked, and not welcoming of people. They don't mind to trade, but they don't want you to stay.
And have small barrels.
Small barrels at worst. Tiny barrels. Barely enough for a single thread of rope.
I think that'd be really cool to get a really tiny barrel, actually.
You think that now, yeah, like a shot glass barrel. Making barrels is surprisingly dangerous.
Really?
Because basically you have to bend the wood into the shape of the barrel and then get the hoops on. But because everything's under tension, if it goes wrong, it kind of explodes in splinters, and there's like being a cooper was traditionally quite a dangerous lifestyle.
It's very tense and spooky.
Yeah, that adds to the spookiness because there are ghosts with really bad splinters. There's a culture called the Kempt. They live in nice apartments with shared gardens that are also graveyards. They dress in branded wear, highly monetizable, correct for the current season. Or for the season's fashion, I think I meant there. Other cultures say, why are they so happy in these identikit boxes? But they say about themselves, they've got it made. The world exists to serve them and it's working out fine. At their best, they're friendly, talkative and well-dressed. At their worst, they're conformist and classic sheeple. And finally, we have a culture called the Cutters. They're a dispersed network throughout the cities. They keep in touch through communications networks of their own. They dress in a kind of maintenance aesthetic with utility belts. Corporations see them as plausible deniability. The public are suspicious. If someone goes missing, it's the Cutters, even if there's no evidence. They're not liked, but they are often respected. They're somewhere between a threat and a correction. Of themselves, they say, we're the only ones who can see the truth. But there's a tension within them as to whether they want to keep society running or improve things, or even to gain power for themselves. At their best, they're skilled and powerful. They can control the market. At the worst, they are... I've only got the word they here. So, I don't know, but I feel like they're kind of...
Conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, they're conspiracy theorists, aren't they? And they believe themselves to be above the rules of society and...
Vigilantes.
Yeah, borderline vigilante. So that's the world as we've sketched it out today. And I think that's both got some really interesting things, and it's also going to be, gives us plenty of space to put new things into. So over the next week, we will have a little chat about, we'll probably chat offline about ways we might adjust it, other things that we think of that we think it would be cool to have. And then when we return, we'll start figuring out what characters are going to be living in this world. But that is all for our first session. The appendices are complete. So good start. I'm excited to see where we go from this.
Good work.
And yeah, it's nice to be back.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who's hung out with us for the last however long it's been. Probably quite a long time, isn't it? 2 hours 18.
Yeah.
Not bad. And if you go to itch.io, in a moment you'll be able to purchase Trilogy if you want. I am putting it on live now. I'm not putting it live now. I can't find where the live bit is. Public. Okay, I'm putting it live now. So Trilogy now exists in the world. You're welcome, and indeed you should go and give it a try. It's been a pleasure, and we will. And thank you very much for joining us, everyone who has joined us. We will
be back on next week.
Same time next week.
Next week.
So yeah, same time, same place. Be there or catch up afterwards using the catch up facility. It'll be fine. Goodbye and thank you.
Bye. Bye.